Hey, what's going on, everyone? Of course, I'm John Gillen. This is Silver Sound Guitar. Today, I'm going to go ahead and bring you part 3. That's it, and 1, 2, 3 in the Organizing Your Practice series. So, if you haven't checked out the other 2 videos, please go back and do that. That's know what you're practicing and what to practice when life gets busy. So, this one right here, though, is for all of us who have reams and reams of papers and lessons and books and just YouTube videos to watch and all this stuff. Like, where do you start? So it's really easy to get overwhelmed with this, and you sit down and you think, oh my gosh, I need like 10 hours to practice all this stuff. And that's a really common response to it. I mean, I've had it many times in my life, but the thing is ultimately we just need to break this down, like simplify it. And I think there's basically 5 categories that these things can fall into. So the first one is warm-ups. Now, when I say warm-ups, these, generally speaking, I don't mean technical exercises. What I mean are things to just kind of get your head in the right space. For a lot of people, it would be things like note naming exercises. So just like, can you find where all the C's are on the fretboard up and down? Maybe it's a chord. Just find where all those C chords are up and down the fretboard, or a triad or something like that. But it's really just to kind of get your hands in the right space, start thinking about the instrument. Where do things need to go? You can do little things like a little hammer-on, pull-off, warm-up thing. I do that with a lot of students where it's just like alternating first and second, first and third, first and fourth, and then kind of moving it around the fretboard. So really the goal here is just to put your head in the space of the guitar. What are the things you need to work on? And just kind of get in that direction. Now, keep in mind here, like as you're going through that, all we're trying to do is just get ready for the next section. Now, here's that technique. The technique is going to be just a couple of exercises. Don't worry if you've got a list of 10 of them. Don't worry about 10 of them. Just pick 1 or 2 and then kind of alternate through some of those other 10 throughout the week. So, for example, you might play exercises 1 and 3 on Monday, and then you might play 2 and 4 on Tuesday, and then Wednesday you might play 3 and 5, and then you see how that kind of overlaps, and then you're still building on the knowledge you've gained the previous day or a couple days ago, and you're able to make progress with these exercises and techniques. I'd encourage you not to worry about too many techniques at once. So, for example, if you're really trying to focus on, let's say, legato, do check out my legato videos, or if you're working on sweep picking, check out my sweep picking video. Shameless plugs. What can I say? But keep those things in mind as you go through this. Like, maybe only focus on 1 technique a week, maybe 2. You know, you could add string skipping in there or something like that, or you're just trying to build speed. All of those things, pick 1, pick 2, and just focus on that. Yeah, we want to improve on everything, but when we've got a short amount of time and we have to think really intently about what we want to accomplish, this is why in that first video I talked about having a goal, writing it down. This is why that's important, is because when you hit this part in the practice and you're looking at, holy cow, there's all these cool techniques I want to be able to do, pick 1 this week, pick 2, you know? Any more than that, and you're kind of not really going to see the results that you want to see. Okay, so those are the first 2 things. That whole thing, honestly, shouldn't take you very long. I would say your warm-up exercises, that's 2 to 3 minutes tops, and your technical exercises, you're probably 10 minutes tops. After that, I think you're looking at your chords, your scales, and arpeggios. Now, the way I do this is I usually go through the cage system, right? So inside the cage system, I have all my students play the chord, play the scale, play the chord again, play the arpeggio, play the chord again. The chord is the thing for me in the cage system that unlocks all of that. So that's kind of how I break that down for my students in order to just frame the whole of the fretboard and just make sense of the whole thing. So that's really kind of the idea. But you might be at a spot where, hey, you're really working on triads, or you might be working on drop 2 voicings or 7th chords or whatever. So think about that. Your scale then practice is going to move into something that might be a little bit different. Whatever you're working on with your teacher at the time, you might be working on a mode, those sorts of things. So if you're working on 7th chords and let's say the Mixolydian scale, then you're just going to have to think about that a little bit differently, where to put it and how all that works together. So, and then of course I would recommend your arpeggios should match whatever chords you're playing as well. That just kind of helps to solidify the chord practice in your head. Next is the thing that we all kind of need to remember why we're playing the instrument in the first place. Songs. So songs, I think, is a big part of this. Why? Because we learn how other people use the vocabulary that we're learning how to use. And two, it gives us a really good idea of what's already out there. How can I build my stuff like whoever it is you're trying to emulate? And not only that, it just helps you to bring your chops up to that level that that person is playing at. Then ultimately, it gives you the opportunity to be able to sit down and play with others who know the same songs. And then finally, jamming. Jamming is really where all of this stuff comes together. So whether you're jamming by yourself in your room with a looping pedal or a jam track, or you're getting together with some friends or whatever, it allows you to create music and bring all of these things that we're talking about, techniques, chords, scales, arpeggios, songs, and put it all into context with more than just yourself and just your instrument, right? So obviously we're here talking guitar because that's what I do, but this applies across the board. Be able to jam, be able to play a 12-bar blues, know what a 2-5-1 is, be able to just write a chord progression, be able to use things like the Nashville number system and just speak through what are the chords that are being played. And we get there through the whole process of everything else we're working on, which is why I recommend finishing with that jam. Pull out some of those licks. I've got a video on how to use those licks. I mean, look, shameless plug, I told you. So how to use those licks. Make sure that you're looking at those sorts of concepts and those sorts of ideas so that you can bring that in to whatever you're playing, wherever you're playing. You know, any lick you learn, any song that you learn, see if you can play it in a different key. You know, start just by moving it up 2 frets, and then from there you can always say like, okay, what happens if I play, you know, I'm just going to use it, Sweet Child of Mine in E flat. Like, please don't play Sweet Child of Mine. It's my least favorite Guns N' Roses song. So, but regardless, you have the opportunity now, that vocabulary, to build on it. Go ahead and use it. That's the point of jamming. So anyway, this is number 3. This one's a little bit longer than the others. You notice the others, I'm trying to keep these kind of short for you. This is still under 10 minutes. Yes, but go ahead, check out the other videos. I will see you guys next time. Be sure to like, subscribe, all that fun stuff.